LordMaddog, and we are playing Kerbal Space Program. Last time we landed on Duna. Yes, we landed on Duna, but we had a slight malfunction. My gatherings, I guess mining tools, didn't have any cooling units on them, so yeah, that ended up being pretty bad. They didn't work. So won't be able to bring back our flight from Duna for a very, very long time, which is very saddening. Considering that it cost me over $15 million to launch that, it just makes it kind of upsetting. But that's how it goes. So this time, I decided to stop having to worry about money and farming. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and build myself a base on Minimus. So this time, as you can see, we already have the beginning of our base. We're going to launch this into space, and then hopefully, after we completely test it and make sure it's all running up and good, we're going to launch it into space and hopefully make it land on Minimus somewhere, the Great Flats, preferably, and get it crafting. You know, we're going to use the planetary, what is it called? Interplanetary launch pads. However, I believe there's an add-on mod that I'm using for that. Yes, that is. Yes, I do. That kind of takes a better position, makes it all stock, and actually kind of refines it a bit instead of these. Right now, you see the really weird models that it has with the. You seen from Big One. If you watched the last one, you saw Big One. It looked really funky, kind of cartoonish models. So there's two mods that help with that. The one mod I am using is I don't remember its name. KK something. No, that's for land. That's for building the base. It's another type of mod that gives a different type of whatever this thing here is. It's just basically that's all it really adds that I use. But the other one is simple production, and I like simple production. It really simplifies everything and makes it very usable. So makes it so you can use, instead of the stakes, which I couldn't figure out how to use, try to use them later. In this episode, I try to figure out how to use stakes and the hammer and all that, and I don't really figure it out. Okay, so I ended up getting simple production, which enables you to use your docking ports to produce items. So that's good. And right now we're just going ahead and putting science on this because we do have a science station on this. I want to gain the science from this, so you know, we're going to go ahead and speed up this production. Well, except for maybe I have to talk you through it before I go ahead and start speeding it up. So once we put this, figure a good place to put this. Yeah, I think good. Okay, now these white things are the metal and rocket parts. That way I can mine the metal ore and then change them to rocket parts. This thing that they're connected to is uranium. I need that so I can build bigger reactors once I'm up there and transfer the uranium nitrate, I think that's what it's called, for future electronics. Okay, then there's obviously the reactor, and then there's this thing which is a 3D printer that holds two Kerbals, which increases your production. It's better than that command post that they have for the default interplanetary construction that's big, blue, and cartoonish looking. This basically replaces that. It looks better. It weighs about the same, or around maybe a little less, but it looks nicer. It looks more streamlined in line. Okay, we have monopellet in this, then our station, and of course our docking ports and our fuel, and we're build that. Okay, we're going to speed up now. Okay. Froze it. All right. So, my system. There we go. Okay. All right, so finishing off with the science. Putting all the science parts in there that we need. And thinking about things. All right, so we already have the satellite dishes we're going to need. Make sure we have everything else correct. And now we will need mini base. That's what we're going to name it. Now we're going to need some type of the drills. I think we need the drills. No. First we need actually to make a propulsion system. We are going to make it pretty much along the lines that we made our one mini base, space station. If you remember, I did that. I had the nuclear engines along the side, and I used nuclear engines to do that for my thrust. However, I thought I would try out the B9-4 parts here that use the helium. However, with that I only gain a very minimal amount of delta V, because hydrogen is not it's sadly not as compact as liquid fuel, even though they have a much higher ISP. You need still, because they don't hold as much or something along that line. I hadn't actually done the real math and science behind it. The B9 parts actually not end up being all that grand, because you need a lot more fuel, even though you supposedly have a lot higher ISP. A lot more fuel containers. I think they're lighter in the end, but still having that many more fuel is just, it's not going to work for me. So we're going to go ahead and set these up here. As you see, I have set them all on the same action group, so I can turn them on easy enough. I need engineers, and we're going to go ahead and test it. At this point, I haven't really realized that my delta V is only 1,537. That's not very much. Or if I do actually end up going and using that, we also need to strut up a little. Alright, so we're just testing these, making sure everything works. We have enough electricity, we have enough cooling systems, and other things to keep everything intact. That's what we're testing here. So we're slowly gaining rocket parts. And here at this point, I hadn't installed simple production yet, so I didn't actually have anything that could produce anything. So we're going to strut up, which we need to do that, so we don't have that falling apart like we were having. And going to get there, orbital dock, which is the only thing you can, besides the what do they call them, stakes. You have to have orbital docks, and you have to have interplanar. They're basically big cartoon looking pieces, and that's why I didn't like it. So there you select, and then you can build the craft you want. I'm gonna build something real quick here. Let's say science bot. It doesn't take that much. So 42 minutes to build that. That's not bad. It's pretty small. It's not, it only weighs, not even weighs a ton. It's understandable. Okay, so there, we crafted it, and then we can release it. So we dug up the metal from the metal and concrete from our system. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and check out this here. Try to see if we can get this thing back, because I want the money from it, but it's not going to happen. I think we even try to test suit it back into. Oh, there's more science I didn't get. Look at that. Yeah, I went through all the science and just sent some science back. Going through all my science here. If you want to read it, you have to pause it. They're not very witty or intuitive, really. There is a mod out there that crowdfunded or crowdsourced. It was way back. I don't know if it still exists, but way back when Kerbal Space Experiment came out, it was crowdsourced. I think it was crowdsourced science comments, and I don't know if it still exists. I haven't tried it since then. But those were pretty interesting. Instead of you take your observation of the situation when you're on. So here we're just going ahead and basically buy the rest of our. Well, spending some science. There's not really much left that I want or even desire. I have 5,000 there. Okay, so right here, we're back in here. We're going to try again to load this up. And this time, I think I have production. Yes, I have simple production, I think. Maybe not yet. I know one of these times I go ahead and exit the program and get simple production, because after trying to figure out how this works, and it actually doesn't work because I can't for the life of me figure out how to get it to pop up. Adding a little bit more drills so I don't run it. So I actually have a supply. You're going to see me go ahead and pop out a Kerbal here. Little Bill, I think. Yes, we're going to pop out Bill. Come on, Bill. Come on out. Bill's inventory. Bill doesn't have an inventory. Who has this stuff? I thought I put it in, but no one has it. So, alright, we gotta make sure that someone has it. There was nobody in it. Alright, now Milford has my inventory. There we go. So we're gonna put down the stakes. One. You hear the little doot-doot-doot from the screwdriver sound, which doesn't make any sense. Alright, origin X direction, but that's all you can do with it. There's no craft from this point. Do something from this point. It doesn't let me do anything with it. So I try to put down another one. And another one. Make a 4 square area for it to spawn from. And we get the same result. Nothing. Can't build. Yeah, totally sucky. Alright, so yeah, I'm not sure what I do here now. Oh yes, I go ahead and give these their own action groups. Yay. And I load tiny base, and I'm gonna merge it with my merge. There we are, because we're gonna use it there. Need to move those up some. Much better. You know, I thought I went back to using nuclear engines on this thing, but I guess I didn't, and that's probably the reason why it barely has enough to land on Minimus later on, I think. Yeah, I think it does land on. I think I do succeed in getting to Minimus, but it takes a hard time to get it to Minimus. It takes a good bit. Alright. Launch. So we're gonna stick this up into space after this. Sometimes it just hates you. Later on I find the mod that fixes this crap. It's called Joint Reinforcement or something. I don't know. It stops the random explosion from own weight or something. It reinforces it without auto. It's not auto strut. I did find auto strut optional, but that just didn't end up really doing anything for me. If you go into your settings and advanced settings and then advanced tweakables, or settings advanced tweakables, and you click on tweak advanced tweakables, and that lets you. No, that won't work. You're gonna blow up the instant. You can't attach it like that. Nope, nope, nope. Yeah, that's what I try to do. I wonder why I did that way. Oh, that's right. I remember. Sorry. Because I don't want to put like 15 of these, have 8 all the way around it. There we go. And I'll keep it from blowing up the instant I spawn, hopefully. There we go. Oh, no. Hey! 2 Kerbals survived! 2 Kerbals survived. And this is the major problem. Anytime you start getting with the really heavier boosted stuff, that the physics will kind of almost instantly implode in on itself. There we go. Space. And you start launching close to 100 times, 50 times at a time. I've always had that it'll kind of always end up self-exploding on the launch pad from its own weight and physics, and I don't understand exactly why. But as I said earlier, if you've been watching all this time, I would be grateful if you have been. I don't think you have been, because this is like 40, 50 hours so far. But if you've watched that far, good on you. Alright, but as I said, once I am actually completely done with this, I will list all the mods I end up using, my suggestions, and also I'll zip my ship's creation files, and put it in Dropbox, and put a link for it in the description of all of them. So that way, if you want to use any of these ships that I craft, you do so. And that's, I did not realize that's okay. Yeah, so I am using the B98 or whatever part mod. That gives you these engines that cost 4,000 at this total 4,000 science. Well, a lot more in total, but I mean it's science. Lots of about 4,000 science at the end. And 4,000 for the end one, and that's I'm using the Odin engines or the Volcano engines. I can't remember which. Or Valkyrie, one of the three. The engines that you get there at the end of it. They have high SP, but they don't. What they do not make you note is that you don't carry as much hydrogen and oxide as your default systems do. So if you would have made, if I would have made, I don't think they weigh as much either though, but if I would have made it with all liquid fuel and oxygen and used the default engines, the Reliant and whatnot, I would have actually had more delta V, but well, about the same, a little bit more delta V actually, I think in the end, because you get more bang for your buck with them. You have to have more components with these because the hydrogen is used faster from what I'm seeing. This is just what I've seen. Now, as you see here, I have very little delta V. I have 240 delta V left to land. So it makes it a bit hard on me. But I have 35 thrust to rate ratio, so it's, I know a suicide burn is very feasibly easy here. I mean, with the 35 to thrust to weight ratio, that really makes a difference. Here I'm trying to use my thrusters. I was planning on using my thrusters to also slow down my descent. Yeah, hopefully, if I run out of MS, meters per second. And here we go. We're going to try to land right here on. This is the lesser flats. I thought we tried to aim for the greater flats, but we aimed for the lesser flats here. And I am using my there we go. And now we are gonna we're gonna get it. We're gonna make it. Are we gonna make it? Are we gonna make it? Are we going to make it? I don't think so. No, we did not. Oh, the reload and try that again. Let's see if we can aim for a little bit better of a place. I accidentally activated my parachutes, which don't ask me why. So we're going to do a couple runs around to make sure that we get the landing spot in perfect position instead of having to using a little bit of delta V to try to reposition my angle. I had used total like 49 delta V, which would have actually enabled me to land perfectly fine if I hadn't ended up using that. So this time I just wait for the moon to spin around without, so I wouldn't have to do that. Now we need to slow down. And auto guide. That does not work. MechJab's landing auto guidance not reliable. Very, very rarely does it actually work. I'll just let you know that. Mechanical Jeb, Odaya, MechLab, landing guidance, just don't count on it. It's hit and miss. Make sure you save before you try it. When it works beautifully. When it doesn't, it doesn't work. Alright, we landed. Well, we busted off some of our pieces, but that's all good, actually. We're landed. I mean, I'm not taking this thing back into space. It's not planned to. So there we are. We have now landed, and we're going to go ahead and... Don't need that all the way up. There we go. Let's sit back, lean back. Alright. Level up my crew. They have got levels. We're going to quickly go through all the science. And now we're getting 3 or 4 science a day from it. And we are going to... Oh, here, I decided I was going to bring this on over there. But I think we're going to wait for next time to do that. Or maybe not. How long have I been going? Give me a sec. I'll be right back. So, as it turns out, we have enough time to do this. So we're going to go ahead and lift this thing off into space. As I was saying before, you can see I am using the nuclear engines here. And was I using the nuclear engines? I thought I was using. No, I wasn't using the nuclear engines. Okay. Yeah, I guess that wouldn't have provided enough thrust to weight ratio with these. But for some reason, I have more delta V with this one, I think, than the other one I did. I don't know why. But anyway, here we're going to try to fly around the planet. You can conserve as much delta V as possible, because I only have 600 because it's not full. But that should be more than enough, actually. Yeah, that's plenty enough. We'll just go ahead and use it up there. And we're going to try to land by the other base and connect them together so we have more engineering power. Because until I bring more engineers up, you know, we need as much processing power as possible. So the more produce power, production power, actually is what it is, production power, it determines how long it takes for a object to be built, and how fast you build rocket parts and whatnot. However, building rocket parts doesn't actually end up being that much of a problem, because Minimus is very rich when it comes to ore on the Great Flats. So even the small miners can give you an insane amount. Here I try to use neck jab to land. It didn't work. Once again, it decided to fly to the other end of the earth. So I have to manually land here myself. But as I was saying, Minimus flats are very heavy in minerals, so ore, default ore, and it also has a decent amount of rhodium too. If you're using, try to use mech jab again. They also have a decent amount of rhodium too if you're using interstellar. At least from what I've seen, decent amount. The flats are pretty abundant in most resources. Don't think the flats have salt for interstellar. From my experience, I don't remember if they do or not, but I don't think they do. Try to suicide burn, that did not work. Need to reload. So I will have to do it manually. There we go. Alright, perfect landing. Now we have a 1.8k away, so we're going to try to turn sideways. Yeah, we've got a probe control there. Lost satellite somehow. We're going to land on over here. One of the also real reasons to do this is because that has a nuclear reactor, so it means it has a lot of energy, and this thing has always had problems with energy. It really has. So if we hook up to that nuclear reactor, we'll have a decent amount of energy as well. So that's another reason to do ahead and join these two up for now. Okay, so we are once again close. We're going to just tilt ourselves on over using our RCs and then slide along the floor at a very minimal speed. Just very slowly slide on closer to it. You're at 2 meters per second. You know, it took me like 20 minutes to go ahead and do this, but it was, you know, it's better than trying to fly and land beside it. Just not quite that good. So we're sliding across the ice here. Getting real close. Slide, slide. There we are. Right, good. We're going to use these as our stands and also start them mining again. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and pull out Milford, who has all of my equipment. Right, Milford? Oh no, he didn't have it yet. Now he does. Alright. EVA Milford. Alright. Over here. As you see, I'm save happy because I've had the game's not stable. Kerbal Space Program is a lot more stable than it used to be, but it still can have things happen. Like you see, is it rocking right there? It could decide to blow it apart. Sorry, but that was my wife. Alright. There we go. And now we have them together, producing energy, science, together. See, 400 science easy transmission. And start these mining. And I think we've got start metal mining right there. Alright. Start metal refining right there. I didn't turn it on for some stupid reason. Okay. Oh, because I wanted to just run out of electricity, that's why. Alright. Okay. And I think that's where we're going to end here. We're going to select a craft to build the big one. That's the just to build it for now. I you know, that's going to take 9 days, but I don't think that's what I'm going to end up staying with. But all right, so see you later. I mean, that's it for today. Next time we'll decide what we're going to do. Hope to see you next time. LordMaddog signing off.